So I sent you an interesting video on a topic that I never really thought about, but it kind of pissed me off.
Yeah.
So the basis of the video was writers who don't read. I guess there's a surge of writers who feel they don't need to read books or shouldn't read books because it somehow stunts their uniqueness and creativity. Now, for my very first rebuttal on this, before I even go into the video at all, could you imagine a musician who doesn't listen to music?
It would be weird.
I don't think it's going to work out too well.
We've done many, lists of things and people's routines and stuff, and a lot of, and it's always normally in there is the reading is a lot of like their creative process or what they do,
Yeah.
So like, that's really weird. Like,
how do you learn how to write if you don't read?
We had to say it got to be like the younger crowd, right?
That's what, like, in the video, it was a professor who made a tweet about how he gets a lot of his students come up to him and tell him they're going to be novelists, and he asks them who their favorite author is, and they have no response or they don't know because they don't read. And then there was a lot of people defending that choice, saying, "Oh no," one is like some of them were saying it was ableist. Like I don't know why it's ableist to say that you have, because I guess not everybody could read or afford to read. I don't know. That was a fucking dumb straw man argument, but a lot of it was just people don't have time to read or just don't want to read, and they were using the excuses it affects their writing or their creativity. Again, if you are going to be, I don't know, in any kind of artistic endeavor, you probably should be familiar with that endeavor. So if you don't read at all, how are you going to, whatever you do, right, I'm assuming it would have to be based now on you watching movies and TV and shit like that, because you need some basis on how to create a story, right?
Yeah.
So now you're just going to write like in a movie style, but in your writing, I don't think it's going to come across well. And you're just going to, I don't want to accidentally try, have too many tropes or cliches. So I'm just not going to read. Well, now you're going to do it on accident because, again, those things are cliches for a reason. They've existed for a long time. So now you won't even know how to avoid them because you don't read.
Or how to just like because another part of that video was talking about like where you don't know, like, oh, I'm gonna fucking write a werewolf story because nobody's ever done a fucking werewolf story. But like, if you read, like there's werewolf stories, and you can maybe still do a good werewolf story, but
you probably won't make a unique werewolf story though because you don't know what werewolf stories already exist.
Yeah.
And then another thing that was irritating was like there was an example of someone who very cockily. They were very cocksure in their writing, even though they don't read, and they shared an example of their writing. And even though, like, the guy said he read it, and he's like, yeah, you can tell it's an amateur and he doesn't write or he doesn't read or whatever, I think that person still reads and just lied.
Yeah.
Because, like, just when I read through it a little bit, just like the way some of the descriptions were, I was like, no, you had to read fiction to know how to do this. And, like, you're not getting that from a movie, and you're not just making it up. I mean, maybe you took like that's another thing. It's like, okay, these people took like creative writing classes or something and they learn how to write. They just don't read. Well, you still had to read to a degree when you're in there, right?
Yeah.
When anything you write, you're reading, or somebody else has written, you're going to read. So this is the fact, I don't read anything. That's stupid. I just think it's dumb. I think you should read a lot because you want to create your own unique voice as an author. How are you going to do that if you don't know what voices already exist?
Well, also, like, I can't tell you how many times, like, I've maybe tried to have like a like I've been stuck with something, and like either something that I'm currently reading or that have read and like I thought about it, like a technique or a thing that they did storytelling wise, I was just like, oh, that works here, and like there's nothing wrong with that. It's just it's learning another tool or skill to have in your bag of tricks, to use.
I think it just comes down to laziness. And I was telling you off air about another video I watched, and one component of it was a lot of people don't have the creativity anymore because of short form media fucking up their attention spans and the way they think about things and the way they connect things. And it also went into those are the people that are just writing their ideas into AI and using that to write a novel. Because the guy was talking about like, oh, there's so many YouTube channels now that are dedicated to show you how to write prompts and stuff to create AI books.
Well, I can't tell you like just either YouTube shorts or just even like shorts that are on like Instagram and stuff, just to like say like, I get on like a like a Dragon Ball run of like there'd be, you know, people talking about like a story or whatever, and all it is still images from like the show, the manga, or whatever, with an obvious AI voice over it, and it's just like, well, they can't even record it themselves.
Fucking lazy. Well, like the thing with the writing with the AI that because a lot of these people, they claim it's still theirs because even though they didn't write the novel, they wrote the prompt and the ideas and everything's theirs. Like great writing isn't the story and the plot, it is the language.
Mm-hmm.
AI can't do the language, it just steals other people's language.
Yeah.
So you're not fucking writing. Because how many stories have you read where the language was pretty dog shit because the person's clearly not a good writer?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, okay, well, I mean, I guess the plot's kind of interesting, but this like it's not memorable because it's shit, you know. Like you could most of Shakespeare's plots are based on older stories and they're not that good.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fucking language that people remember. It's the way it's written. So you can be, you know, Mr. Idea Man all you want, but that's not, like even when you hire a ghostwriter, at least the ghostwriter's still a writer.
Yeah.
Like they're still turning your idea into something with a unique language. You're not doing that with AI. AI doesn't have unique language. It just steals. So anytime you think, oh, you know, it's my idea still, you're not writing it.
But also,
you use the AI, you're not a fucking writer.
And then also too, like how many times have we talked about like whenever a shorter story, a longer short story, whatever it is, and the initial like idea of it, and then when you've got done writing it, how fucking close is it to? And that's just you doing it yourself. Yeah. So whenever you're taking your idea and just putting it into the machine, and it plops out whatever it does. Who like that's not gonna be anything near like the vision you probably would have had.
I'll even take the controversial side here and just say that you go in, write a very detailed story, full outline, synopsis, and prompt, and whatever the fuck you do, and you spend a lot of time on that. Put it into AI, it craps out your book in a couple seconds or however long it takes, and then you go through the entire book and rework that in your own language, just using that as a base. That, I mean, think about tracing. Like in drawing, like, okay, maybe you trace an image, like a background or something off I mean, it's kind of hard because it's something that already exists, but okay, let's use a generic prompt and you trace that, and then you build upon that. It's your work to a degree more than just using the AI as just doing the whole story.
Well, that's like we've talked about, like, with, like, you know, digital, like, you know, in comics, it's like the artists will draw even digitally will like draw like the characters and stuff, and like the background's like a weird generated paste kind of thing. Or, like, you know, they might take like the background or something, use that as like the template or whatever and stuff like that. And so it's like that weird like, oh, you did actually kind of do it, but you still didn't do it.
That's one of those things where I could give it to you. It's like, okay, you still had some creativity and you still created this thing, but you used the tools, you relied on them heavily, and it's still not going to be as authentic or as good as something that's completely original, you know? Like, that's just the way it goes. I'm just against it altogether, but like we're going to have to face it. The world we're coming into, we're going to start getting like professional writers using AI to do the boring bits of work.
Yeah.
And hopefully you won't get your popular best-selling authors using the AI to crap out their book and then they rework it, like I said.
Yeah.
Because that's still, it's like, but you didn't write it. It's so much easier to rewrite something that exists than it is to write the original draft.
How much we talk about, like, a lot of times, like, with our stories, like, the hard bit is, like, getting, like, that first draft out, and then once you start to rework it and tool it, you know, and that's just your own story. So imagine just, like, like you said, work just like, oh, I'm going to go over something that the fucking machine shits out.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically just the editor at that point. Like, that's not... You're rewriting something that exists that you didn't create. Even if it's your ideas, you didn't write it. So, I can't agree with that. It sucks. Because also, you could be like, hey, write this in the style of Cormac McCarthy, and now you just stole Cormac McCarthy. Yeah. Like, he wrote it, technically. So, I don't like that. But that's the way we're going, is that the arts are going to die. But hopefully, what happens is the whole world crumbles before then, and then we have to start anew. Maybe there'll be some kind of renaissance that arises from that, and people, at least I do love that most ethical thinking people are backlashing hard against AI and the AI slop as it's been deemed. So I don't know. We'll partake in an exercise in futility by keeping an eye on this stuff and hoping that it doesn't take over anytime soon, at least before we make it.
Yeah. Well, no, with our luck, we would finally get like our first like big like book deal, and then it's like, oh well, just AI for everything else. Like, oh.
Penguin will just be like, hey, actually, we decided we're just going to have all AI authors.
Yeah, and since you already signed the contract, we're just going to have them. We got the rights to your stuff now, so we're just going to plug that in and have that be the new.
Is that where we're going to be, where it's like every fucking generation of authors has some goddamn bullshit they have to go through? So it's like, the lost generations, like, oh, we're creating all this art. World War II happens. And it's like, okay. Well, it was like first World War I, and then they come up to the age and become famous writers. And like, all right, we're going to put out some great work. World War II happens. That kind of diverts everything.
Yeah.
Great Depression, all this shit. So for us, it's just AI take over. The boomers had it all right.
Yeah.
They had like a good stretch, but they had the Vietnam War, and that was just writing material. That didn't like deflect anyone from reading. If anything, it made them read more. So anyway, folks, we have a Q&A episode today. So that'll be fun. I didn't actually think about the questions like you did, but I feel like my answers might be already there. I hope.
See, I had to do because
I said it to you because I was like, well, Spencer is more up in the air with his favorites of things than I would be. So anyway, we're going to have an episode book related. Yeah. You are listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast. I'm your host, Caleb James. I'm going super lazy with Spencer's name today. Spencer, the Welsh Welcher Church.
I feel like,
I never did that, did I? The Welsh Welcher? Maybe I did. I probably did. What's another place in the UK that's not London or, I'm trying to think of Liverpool. Any L's, no L's. All right, you know what? I'm going to look at a map. We'll do this live on air for the fans. World map.
So they can get a look into the process.
Yeah, to see how fast I come up with these bullshit names I come up with. Of course, I would pick every map that's super hard to look at. All right, here's one. Oh, the fucking zooming feature doesn't
work.
Yeah. I've done so many. It's amazing.
Yeah.
We're running out. I have to look at like cities, I think. Ooh, that's a good one. Spencer, the Maldives Madman Church.
Okay.
I never did the Maldives. I don't think.
Did. That'd be a good wrestling.
Maldives Madman.
Yeah.
So today's Q&A is brought to you by our second most loyal listener, Mike.
Yeah, only second.
He's number 2. He hates that. He hates that there's one guy above him who never responds to anything but listens to every episode. A guy nobody knows. But that guy listens to. That guy probably doesn't even realize he's our number 1.
No, listener. He has no clue.
He has no clue. He probably just has like an auto download. He's been dead for 5 years.
His account just is still up.
Yeah. So, Mike is posing us some book-related questions. I'm just going to do them all. So, Spencer, this first question. What are your top 5 books and why are they your favorites? Writing style, author, story, and why you think other people should read these books? That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
You want me to go first? You want to go first?
You can go first.
All right. I didn't think about this at all. So, my top 5 books. Number 1, Suttree by Cormac McCarthy. I really, really, really like the language in that. And the subject matter was, poor folk in Tennessee. I'm not from Tennessee, but I can relate to the subject matter and wanting to escape the life that you're living and try to live another life. And the quaint riverboat fishing scene is pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was a very good novel. Why should people read it? It's hard for me to recommend that one because not everyone's going to love the language in that.
Yeah.
Take Blood Meridian, but funnier. But then again, I read the thing about the butts, the guy humping the melons with his butt in the air, and you really enjoyed that.
I did, yeah.
It was Shakespearean in the way it was written, and I was like, I love that.
Well, anytime anybody's having relations with any kind of fruit or anything, I mean.
Second up, this is a tough one for me. I can't put these in a specific order, but I will have to say Don Quixote. Mike actually asked me yesterday what translation I read, and I do not know the translator of the one I read. It was just the Penguin's Classic Edition. But it was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed Don Quixote. It's a fun adventure and nonsense. Lots of nonsense, which I like. Obviously, The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings.
I would say I say you can do the whole.
Can't do The Hobbit because that's separate. So I'll do Lord of the Rings as 1.
Yeah.
So that'll be my number 3 is Lord of the Rings. I don't think I need to go into why people need to read that. And same for number 4, which is The Hobbit. That leaves me at number 5, Spencer.
A 5 spot.
That's an open one. Should it be Moby Dick?
I don't think. You didn't enjoy Moby Dick that much.
Not at all. Jerusalem, maybe?
Not even the second time.
Yeah, it was all right. Maybe Ulysses. Ulysses was really fun. Ah, fuck. You know what, Spencer? I might have to go to the archives on this one.
Yeah.
and look. I should have looked at this more thoroughly. Why I like a certain book. I've read so many great Japanese novels too, but the problem is a lot of the books that were my favorites I read so long ago.
I was gonna say like not made like Q1A4.
Nah, it wasn't I mean, that was good, but it wasn't a favorite. Just for the sake of brevity, I'll just say Kafka on the Shore.
Okay.
Haruki Murakami. I really like that. Though Why the Bird Chronicles was also very good. He's got a lot of good fucking books too. You know what, Spencer? I want you. Nah, I want to get up. I gotta look. I gotta go over there and look. And we're back. I'm gonna go with the dark horse pick that I completely forgot about till just looking at my shelf. The Hike by Drew McGarry. I fucking love The Hike. It was so good. That was one of my favorite all-time books. So I'll have to pick The Hike.
Okay, so I have
Spencer actually has a list. He actually did some prep work for this.
So not in like any particular order. I have like the whole like the Dark Tower series because again,
just as one.
Yeah, as one. Then I have Dead Even by Brad Meltzer. It's that one that I have over here that I keep on trying to get you to read. It's just a really good like legal thriller, like action kind of book. It's my one. I always say if I want to try to get somebody to read Meltzer, I would say pick that one first, and which is crazy because it's the second book that he's put out. So. And I mean, and the other ones that I've read had been really good, but I think like that one and just what goes on in it is a good example of his work. Horns by Joe Hill.
Horns, really?
Yeah. I just love the.
I haven't read a Joe Hill novel yet.
I
get short stories. I just haven't had the fucking ability yet.
Because
the time and the ability to read such.
Because I think one year that I was trying to say we should do the 20th Century Ghost.
For Halloween.
Yeah, because it's short stories that we could even do like a series. Break them up and do like a series or something. But yeah, I just love this transformation of this guy who's growing these horns and. Just like, because like as he gets these horns, like people can't lie to him and stuff. So he's actually finding things. It's really, really good. Slaughterhouse 5 from Vonnegut.
That was just out of my top 5.
Yeah. And then this last one's kind of a cheat, but I put Dragon Ball down.
The manga.
Yeah. So it's like that the first original. You know, you could probably leave like Super out of it, but like that from. From the original all the way to the end, as that contained story, I really like that,
Just as some honorable mentions that are just outside of my top 5, I'm going to go Ray Bradbury, Something Wicked This Way Comes. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go Macbeth by Shakespeare. I will go Midsummer's Night's Dream by Shakespeare as well. The Martian by Andy Weir was excellent. Yeah. Artemis too. I'll throw Artemis in there. I really like that too.
I was talking to.
It's a lot of fun.
I was talking to Tim from the comic book store the other day about that, and I told him like how I really liked Artemis, and he's like I've heard of the people who've read it and said that they didn't like it that much.
Really?
And I thought it was great.
Well, I remember the reviews. A lot of it was the protagonist. They didn't like the smart Muslim lesbian character, whatever she was. Also, I'm going to throw in some Friends novels just because I actually really fucking like them. They do fit in my top 10. Even though it's an ARC copy, The Butcher of Nazareth, I did really, really enjoy, which you folks can listen to the episode, which is recent. It's tough because it's a trilogy, and I really liked all of them. And this might go into the second question here, but I would like to reread Blue Light Yokohama by Nicholas Obregon. Because I really like that. But I remember, Sins of Scarlet was really good, and then also Unknown Male.
Each one just got better.
So I don't know what I would have to reread the trilogy closer together just to see which one's my favorite.
Yeah, I was thinking about those, or even the Sugar Man.
Yeah,
but again, it was that's so new.
You gotta give it time.
But yeah, it was a lot of one I was thinking about. I almost thought I had to put in there because one of my favorite Stephen King books is the Dead Zone.
Yeah.
And with him being one of my favorite authors, I got to put it in there. But I really like it, but I don't think writing wise, it necessarily belongs in there. But it is one of my favorite, books of his.
I think The Shining would probably go into my top 10 as well.
I could say, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, because I really enjoyed that. Let's go on the second question because we're not supposed to be doing a top 10. Second idea. What are 3 or 5 books you wish you could go back to reread for the very first time and get that same feeling from the first read of a great book? Suttree would be one I would love to revisit, but I mean, I just read that not that long ago, but that was so good. I would really like to go back to that. Crime and Punishment one is a book that affected me deeply, and I would like to be able to go back and have that first reread because now better understanding how to do the Russian names and stuff. Like if I could go back with that knowledge, I think I'd have a better time reading it. We just talked about Nicholas Obregon's books would be cool to go back to. Interesting, I did recently do this with Moby Dick because I hated it so bad the first time. But then on the reread, I liked it. So it's one of those things. I'm trying to think of a book that really moved me, and I wish I could go back.
See, I put The Hike down.
The Hike, that's
for
one,
this,
yeah.
I put that down for this.
I would love to be able to go back and reread that for the first, because that was one we had no expectations for.
No,
and we just was blown away.
We just fucking saw it on a dumb list we did one time.
Yeah, of weird books. How about you go ahead?
So like I had The Hike, and then it's a little bit cheap because I had another thing, but I put down The Dark Tower just because like, you know, I've said before in here, like I got into Stephen King the most fucked up way by getting into The Dark Tower first and then reading everything else.
I think in general there would be overlap with your top 5 and rereads you want, because Lord of the Rings is obviously one I want to reread again, and maybe multiple times in my life. But that's one I'm going to go back to for sure.
Well, I remember before you turned with the idea of doing like a yearly read.
Yeah, once I finally get all these fucking hard books out and I have more time, and then I'm just more on the fluff reads, I could do that.
So because like I said, it would be kind of cool to read The Dark Tower again for the first time, but still have now all the experiences of reading everything else of his works, you know, going into it. And those were like the only two that I could really come up with. I was having trouble like with the reread.
You wouldn't want to like reread like The Shining or something?
I mean, I would eventually like to go back and reread all of his stuff. Because like I said, that's kind of where I was not learning to read, but whenever I was getting into like seriously reading, like it was all those. So I would like to go back, you know, to everything.
Yeah.
Just with the better, you know, eye, especially now. Whenever I read those, I had no inkling in writing or anything either. So to
the different eye,
yeah, and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, well, I'm interested. Like when we do 1Q84, I go back and reread that after so many years because that was my first Murakami, which is not the one you start with.
Yeah, you did the same thing that I did.
And if I could go back and reread that with like my current ideas of Murakami, I don't know if I'll enjoy it as much, or maybe I'll still. I'm wondering if it'll hold up because I was a very immature reader when I read that, so I liked it a lot more. Where you know you talk about like reading some Stephen King stuff. You know, you're reading that when you were an immature reader, so when you read it as a mature reader, it might not hit, especially now that we're writers.
Yeah,
so it might not hit the same, or it might be better. You'd be like, oh, this is still holds up.
Yeah,
because like there's some Stephen King I've read where I'm like, oh no, this is still a good book. Like, let's see, move on to number 3. What books are on your bucket list to read, or any authors you have never read and really would like to read a book from them? Any books, from all of the time greats to just a random book, or perhaps authors, or just something you have not gotten to yet. And what are you waiting for, and why have you not read them yet? That's a loaded question.
Let's do answer the last question first. Time and energy.
Yeah, that's the thing is like we read so many things. So, like, you talk about bucket list books, it's weird because for me, I also give myself reading challenges. So, like, I'm going to read Gravity's Rainbow soon. That was not a bucket list book. Ulysses was. That was one I wanted to read for a long time and almost conquered the mountain, you know, so to speak. So, for me, The Dark Tower. What are other books that I really want to get to? Because I've read so many of the books I already wanted to read. That's the thing. Over the last few years, I read a lot of the books I wanted to read. I want to read more of the Michael Moorcock books. I have Ursula K. Le Guin collection I want to read. I haven't read any of her stuff yet.
See, like, I was having trouble with this, too, because with the podcast, we have, like, dabbled into a lot of different people, like, author-wise and stuff like that. I feel like
we have a pretty good collection of authors we've at least read one thing from.
Yeah, so, like, for me, it was more of, like, almost like I kind of had to change the question to, like, this is, like, an author, like, I've read, like, once or something. Like, I would like to read more Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah.
I would want to read more Vince Mosley. I would like.
Who the fuck is Vince Mosley? Walter Mosley.
Walter Mosley.
Vince Mosley. What? Yeah, Walter Mosley.
Walter Mosley. Sorry.
Raymond Chandler as well.
Yeah, Raymond Chandler. There's a lot of people, but like, so I put like Elmore Leonard. He.
I've been wanting to read him too.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones I feel like a piece of shit because like we follow like Starlight and all this noir stuff. We haven't read all of it.
No. And then then I wrote down 1984, but I guess I could just transfer to any as well. I haven't really read any of his, so he's like an author that I haven't actually got into. Mark Twain.
Yeah, you got to read some Mark Twain.
And then because I put down Poe. I read a couple. I read those couple poems, but I haven't read anything.
Stories.
Yeah.
Which is really, other than The Raven, that's really what you want to read for Poe.
Yeah. And then, like I said, I don't really have like too many like bucket list books. It's more than because my whole like to read pile and stuff, they're more modern-ish kind of like. There's no like classics or I mean there'd be like stuff that maybe eventually I'd like to check out, but like how like you wanted to go and read like all those old stuff, like I would maybe like to read those, but again it's just like I don't know.
10 years ago this would have been a better question for me. My list would have been very long. Now I've read so many things from the authors I already wanted to read, so
especially too, you're pushing like close to like 50 books a year.
Yeah, so if I go through like just bucket list authors first, Tolstoy. I want to read War and Peace and Anna Karenina. See, with the Russians and a lot of those, though, it's like I want to read some of the main things. I don't really care about the short stories or some of the other supplemental works they have. So those two from Tolstoy. I would like to read Samuel Beckett's work. I'm always hit or miss because I think he did like a lot of plays or screenplays or something like that. So I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. But I want to read Samuel Beckett's work. Once I finish Finnegan's Wake, I've read everything of Joyce pretty much that's worth reading. I'm pretty close to being done with Steinbeck. Now I got like his nonfiction.
That's somebody I
am going to read. This will go on my reread list, but I'm going to reread Grapes of Wrath. Yeah, I don't know if there's much after that. I got Dubious Battle, like his first novel, and just some like random novels, his more obscure works. But
yeah, I definitely have to get some Steinbeck in because I've only read of Mice and Men and that half-finished author BS.
King Arthur shit. I have to read. Speaking of, this will go my year this year, but I think that's the next question. So I'll wait. But the De Morte Arthur, the King Arthur collection.
Was that for this year or was that next year?
Think about it while I answer this question. So I got Steinbeck mostly done. I read almost all of Hemingway. Fitzgerald, I got to read more work, but outside of The Great Gatsby, I'm not like a big Fitzgerald guy.
I mean, does he have much after that?
He has that big collection I have over there.
But I mean, like, is there anything like
This Side of Paradise, which I think is his first novel, or he had something about flappers, the Beautiful and the Damned. I think maybe it was his real popular one. He had a couple, so there's a couple of his books I still got to read that I need to read. I've read almost all the Robert E. Howard stuff. That's worth reading. Most of Lovecraft's shit, I read all his.
And I feel like there's a lot of stuff like I don't even know, but like I know like I want to go back and like I want to read like a lot of like the old kind of
pulp writers
of crime. Like I know there's like a whole bunch of like
Walter Mosley and Raymond Chandler are the two crime writers I want to read more of.
And like there's like sci-fi stuff like I know that I want to eventually check out, but I don't even know what I would want to like yet to even see like
I've been watching videos of I think it's the Nebula Awards or the Hugo Award, whatever the sci-fi one. I think it's the Nebula Awards. They have a video series where it's like I'm just gonna say Nebula. I don't know if that's the actual award for it. I know that is an award. I don't know if that's the big sci-fi one that the videos are based on. But it was like, do those from the 1950s hold up? And it'll go every year, the winner of it, and see if that still holds up. So I've been watching that, and most of them I don't know of, but I'm like, it's interesting ideas. But yeah, I probably need to read more sci-fi as well. So as far as
you need to read some H.G. Wells.
Yeah, I get on some H.G. Wells.
You cannot let me have a one-up you in a kind of classic literature thing.
Yeah, I guess. H.G. Wells is one of those guys where I guess maybe he's closer to genre, so I should read him. I don't know. It's just one of those ones like he's like a second or third tier of level where I want. Like I'm doing this. I'm still on the A tier, still on the first tier trying to get through that shit.
Haven't brought your stuff down to lower level.
The depths of depravity. I still have that fucking whole shelf of classics that I gotta get to random shit on there, like Les Mis. I'm not gonna read that. I do want to read the Three Musketeers. I want to read the Count of Monte Cristo. They're so fucking big. And also, you know how I feel about French people.
No, I wonder what the writing on those are like.
I don't hard.
Like if it's difficult, like language wise.
I think Three Musketeers and the Count of Monte Cristo are pretty accessible. But again, now that I know about translations, I'm not going to read those editions. I'm going to find the best translation and read those editions. Also, I've almost gone through all the archaic works that I wanted to read.
Right.
I mean, there's plenty out there that I could still read. I want to read either Tolkien or Seamus Heaney's Beowulf. I haven't decided which one. So I need to read Beowulf, and I think that's it. Oh, I got the, which is Middle English, the Canterbury Tales I want to read. So let's go to this final question, because this will probably go into this. Wildcard idea. So what books are you looking forward to reading in 2026? I'm looking forward to reading Gravity's Rainbow. I am not looking forward to reading Finnegan's Wake, but I will do that. Then after that, I am free for life of hard things until I read Infinite Jest like an asshole. I know I'm going to do it. I don't want to do it, but I know I'm going to do it. Because once you conquer the mountain and then you look up and you see, there's a couple feet I could just get on that rock. Just to say I'm on the tippy top. Fucking asshole book. What about you? What are you really looking forward to?
I mean, I'm looking forward because, like, each year I try to do my Greg Rucka and Meltzer book at least once a year. I try to throw the Vonnegut in there.
This is a bit of a cheat, but because I'm going to do it literally probably next week. But Project Hail Mary is one I'm really looking forward to reading.
I'm strangely looking for, and I kind of feel bad because I feel like it's going to leapfrog a lot of books in my to-read pile. But that book that I picked up a couple months ago when we were at Barnes & Noble, that The Man Who Died 5 Times, that Japanese book about like the guy who gets stuck in a time loop trying to find his grandfather's murderer.
That's one I'll probably have to end up reading if you really like it.
Yeah, so like I said, I feel kind of bad because I have like big mountains of piles of to-read books on my floor, and they're just going, you're going to read that one first? You're going to read that one? Well, I stay over here.
Man, my fucking to-read pile is so big. It's multiple shelves now.
Yeah.
I have so many to-read books, and I keep putting other shit ahead of them. I always do that. I'm like, oh, but this is, at least now I'm getting to, so the Brothers Karamazov I've had for 2 years, and I've been wanting to read it, so I'm finally reading that. That's another, that's the thing, Gravity's Rainbow is not on my pile, so I picked one of the hardest, longest books you can fucking read, and I threw that above everyone else, so that's going to derail things. But I still have those Michael Moorcock collection. I think I have 3 or 4 of those. They're very big, a bunch of novels I got to read. I got so much, and I don't know how far removed we have to be, but I still got some Neil Gaiman books I got to read.
Yeah, that was actually one I didn't put it on because of him, because of his situation, but like Neverwhere.
Yeah, which I want to read Neverwhere. Well, then if you go back to the first time you read it when it was innocent, and you didn't know he was a scumbag.
Yeah. That was one of my favorites. That would be one of my favorites, and then one of the I wish I could read it again.
Yeah.
But now I worry about if I go back to read Sandman again,
you see gross stuff
and all the and the gross stuff that happens, and it'd be like, well, how much is he into this? Is it a coincidence or is it
Yeah. Well, I think we exhausted that enough. Because we could talk about because I have so many books. So we could talk about these books all day, but we don't really need to. So thank you, Mike, for the questions. I'm glad they were all kind of related, so we didn't have to divert off topic too much.
Send more questions, Mike, or anybody.
Yeah, anybody. I always forget to do that. We get questions sometimes. I always forget it. Usually it's like, how big's your Johnson? And I go, not very. And then I send them a picture, and that answers that.
Big enough you can see it on radio.
Yay! Ooh, is that large? That's real large, or is that not large? I don't know what that means.
Exactly.
It's funny. You're a funny guy. You should do a podcast. If you folks like what we do, and I don't know why you wouldn't, you can follow us at DPW Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can check out my work, CalebJamesK.com. What am I in? We are both in My Friends from Hell, which the cover reveal as a recording was today. It's a very cool cover, and that should be dropping soon, I think. April or...
Pre-orders in April, available May. May
All
1st,
right, so come May, we'll have some workouts. Spencer, you can now purchase his Wicked Shadow Press Dark Vigil.
Yes.
The Exterminate.
Yes.
Collection.
With two covers.
Has a cover and a variant cover, and his story Babyface is the third story in that collection. So check that out. And if you need help finding that, you can go to his OnlyFans, where he is in the Maldives, and he's just a madman. He is I think it's an island, and I think he's fucking it up. Thank you for listening, and we'll check you out next week with another episode.